that he's trying to get out of jail right now, trying to get the judge to let him out now. Hello, everybody. I have some breaking news. Diddy has filed today, just now, a filing in the last couple hours asking the judge to let him out of jail, basically like now. I have not even read this filing. Let me pull it up. Let's read it together. I will react. Opinions only, etc., etc. Everybody knows all of that. Okay, so here's the filing. It is, oh, it's long, girl. It's 12 pages long. Okay, so Diddy moves for his release on appropriate conditions in advance of his sentencing hearing. So he wants out now, advance of his sentencing hearing. When is his sentencing hearing? October 3rd, 2025.
Present, and no longer has a voice who will pursue justice for her accusation.
So it doesn't seem like he thinks that
as
he's
of the
going to be
Aiken against
spending
Diddy,
very much more
no
time
expansion
in jail.
of the investigation,
They say that the
no
statute
isolation
Title
orders,
18
no
gives
equipment
the court
access,
authority to
no
release
suspension
a
of
person
attorney
otherwise subject to
communication.
detention pursuant to Section 3043, where among other things it is clearly shown that there are exceptional reasons why such a person's detention would not be appropriate. Marco is saying there are exceptional reasons, Your Honor. Exceptional reasons exist, warranting a departure from the mandatory detention and ensuring that Diddy is released. Now first, as shown below, the history of the Mann Act itself constitutes an exceptional factor in and of itself. I don't know if he's gonna convince me on that one. Second, Ms. Kumbi's conditions of confinement at the MDC qualify as exceptional circumstances. Again, going to be hard to say that that is the case whenever everybody is staying. Everybody at the MDC that's over there is at the MDC. So it's going to be hard to say that that's exceptional circumstances when everybody else is over there too. That would kind of mean it's not exceptional. But then Agno and them say, so to be released on conditions under this section that we're trying to get him released on, 2 conditions must be met. What are the 2 conditions? First, the district court must find, by clear and convincing evidence, that the person is not likely to flee or pose a danger to the safety of any other person. So since pretty much the beginning, Diddy has been determined by judge after judge to be a flight risk. So now, Mark Agno does have that presumption to overcome. Second thing that they're going to have to do to show is it must be clearly shown that there are exceptional reasons why Diddy's detention would not be appropriate. Okay, so this is like supposed to be like extreme exception situations. I really don't think that Diddy's qualifies as extreme, especially considering he's like thanked and his lawyers thanked the MDC for allowing access to Diddy at the trial, things like that. And I think primarily considering that all the time that Diddy sits in jail right now pending sentencing is going to count toward his actual real sentence. So all the time that he's been in jail ever since September last year, it's all going to go toward his sentence. So let's say the judge sentences him in October to 1 year in prison. Well, that time has already been served. He gets out and Diddy has done just fine in there for the last year. So I'm not really sure how his being held at MDC is exceptional, but maybe they're going to get into, and indeed they do. As noted above, there are several exceptional reasons justifying Diddy's release. First, Diddy's lawyers are saying there has literally never been a case like this one. And it's like, y'all are so freaking dramatic, please. Where a person and his girlfriend arranged for adult men to have consensual relations with other adult long-term girlfriend as part of demonstrated swingers lifestyle, even though the swingers have come out and said no, they were not, and has been prosecuted and incarcerated under the Mann Act. The thing is, I don't know that this is really what was going on. Like whenever the prosecutors started prosecuting this case, it wasn't, oh, there was a person and his girlfriend arranging for adult men. No, there was like, did he run down the hall beating Cassie? Yes, that was a domestic violence incident, and maybe they didn't charge him with it, but there were other factors than just they just busted in on someone having a relation in their bedroom. And I think it's just kind of like silly and like dishonest for them to write it like this, calling it a swingers lifestyle when that's just simply not what was going on. Everybody's name
present,
dropping
and
in
no
the
longer
Cowboys
has a
for
voice who will
Angels here.
pursue
So their
justice for
first
her
argument is
accusation.
really about that man.
As of the
And then
taken
he
against
moves
Diddy,
on, and they
no
move
expansion
on,
of the
Diddy's
investigation,
lawyers,
no
to
isolation
argue that his
orders,
11-month
no
or
equipment
nearly
access,
11-month
no
detention at the
suspension of attorney
MDC is in and of
communication.
itself an exceptional circumstance, which I don't know if I buy. Now this is important because Mark Agnell already had the chance to make these arguments. He already had the chance. The judge already directed and instructed him. In fact, whenever I was there at the court being harassed and terrorized by a gaggle of depraved freaks, I heard the judge myself, I heard the judge say, "You need to tell me what are the exceptional circumstances that are going to allow me to let Diddy out." And even Mark stood up at the end of the day. He was like, "Oh, if I would have had more time, I could have come up with a better argument on exceptional circumstances." And the judge, was like, "Okay, I guess. I mean, he's definitely not getting out today. Definitely ain't letting him out today." So now this is the second bite at the apple, as it were. This is them, shooting their best shot to get out. Now, okay, I'll make my prediction at the end. But I won't be totally surprised if the judge does let Diddy out. This is why. I will tell you why. I guess this is why. One reason why is because the judge specifically himself, the one who's going to be sentencing and the one who sat through trial, he specifically himself requested from the government or from, I think it was the government, any case in history that has been given jail time for only Mann Act charges alone. Only the judge did ask for this, and I haven't seen anything filed, but there has been a lot of filings sealed. So I have seen a lot of sealed filings, but I don't have the access to that. We're the public, so I don't have access to see the sealed filings. But maybe it's one of those sealed filings. But I don't know if the government is going to be able to show that anybody that's only ever been found guilty again. I mean, he was prosecuted with RICO this and trafficking that. But the only thing he actually got found guilty is the consensual one. The prosecutors were not able to prove that there was some coercion or something like that, or force. I know that a lot of y'all disagree with that, but that is the facts of what the prosecutors proved to that specific jury and what that specific jury decided. So we do have to now move forward with those facts at hand. I haven't seen the government offer up those cases that show that this has been done before, that this isn't entirely unprecedented. Again, not that they didn't have the precedent to hold him while he was pending trial for racketeering and RICO and all of that stuff, but he has been now found not guilty on that. His lawyers say he's in an exceptional situation. Sean Coleman's, his lawyers say, is in an exceptional situation. Again, I'm not convinced his conditions of confinement at the facility qualify as an exceptional circumstance under the Chavez case. As the court noted in a previous case, Leah, the test under Section 3. So the test is flexible. District courts have wide latitude to determine whether a particular set of circumstances qualifies as exceptional. In this district, Judge Furman in Chavez has already held that a prisoner's individual situation at the MDC can amount to an exceptional reason. So they're going to try and argue that Diddy's specific incarceration is exceptional, allowing for him to be released. In that Chavez case, it was a 70-year-old defendant arguing that his age and various medical conditions constituted exceptional reason. But the court found that it didn't need to decide that whether the argument would suffice on its own, because it concludes the conditions of the MDC are exceptional reasons. The judge found that the conditions at the MDC are dreadful in many
and no
respects,
longer has a voice
but
who
three
will pursue
warrant
justice
particular
for her
emphasis.
accusation.
So what are the three cases
As
where
of the
a
taken
prisoner
against
can
Diddy,
get out of the MDC
no expansion of the
pending their sentence?
investigation,
Continued
no
reports
isolation
of
orders,
inordinate periods
no
of a
equipment
lockdown,
access,
claims
no
that the
suspension of
facility
attorney
provides
communication.
inadequate or substantially delayed necessary medical care, which is a particular risk in this case, and general issues about the conditions at the facility. These conditions have not abated in Mr. Combs' detention facility. Well, they had already thanked the Bureau of Prisons and everything at the trial, so they shouldn't have did that. Okay, so they're just saying astoundingly, the conditions that the MDC in and of themselves are being used as exceptional circumstances to let Diddy get out of jail. Girl, please. Okay, so are you wondering my opinion? I'll tell you, I don't think the judge going to let him out before his sentencing. I don't think that. I don't think that, but I won't be like shocked if the judge does. He might. That being said, the judge did mention that Diddy did do some violence. The judge did mention that there were some things going on in the case that maybe Diddy wasn't found guilty of, but things that he was going to be allowed to take into consideration, not only of letting Diddy out before the sentencing, but also how long did he stays in. So there's been a lot of speculation back forth, up, down, side to side. How long is Diddy going to get sentenced to jail? How long is he going to get sentenced to prison? Rather, is it going to be 1 year? Is it going to be no time at all? Is it going to be 10? I mean, he's facing up to 12. I do not think he's going to be getting 12. I don't think he's going to be getting At first I was thinking 5 to 7 years with the 1 year time served. He's got to stay, 4 to 6 more. That being said, the government made a lot of allegations and they brought a lot of heavy charges, and they really didn't convince the jury to convict him on those heavy charges. So maybe the judge does sentence Diddy to a couple years in prison, maybe has another year to serve after this. I could see it going a lot of ways. I don't know. I'm not really leaning one way or the other at this point, but I would be surprised if the judge lets Diddy out before the sentence. I think it would send a kind of bad precedent, and I think it would demonstrate to us that the judge is probably not going to sentence him. If the judge lets him out before the sentencing date, it means the judge isn't going to sentence him any more time in jail, I think. But again, y'all, I mean, lots of things are happening in the background. Lots of things have happened that weren't accounted for. A lot of things that were accounted for that were supposed to happen didn't happen. So we really do just have to sit by and see. I wanted to let y'all know that this was filed. Diddy's trying to get out of jail right now, trying to get the judge to let him out now. That's all I really had for this one. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Neither is, reading a little court document or nothing like that. Girl, love you. M. Okay.